Good morning, Youngstown Stock Channel. Joe and Kelin. We're going to talk about some stuff today.
Yeah.
I give you first strike because I'm already ready to throw up. So go.
Yes.
Go.
I have
go.
a question.
Yes.
Which to you is the bigger, better, more exciting news story?
Of today?
No, because I have two options. Because we had really hard-hitting headlines yesterday.
Sure.
One,
hard-hitting. Freaking
Taylor
hard-hitting.
Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged.
Gag me with a spoon.
It's official. It has finally happened. And two, the return of the pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, my goodness.
In the same day.
What are you doing
What
to me?
kind of millennial basic?
Okay, I'll give you like 2 sentences on each one, and then we'll move on. So go ahead. Bring it.
All right, Taylor and Travis. Are you happy for him?
Oh, just like every other person that gets engaged. I think marriage is a really essential part of our culture, and I'm so glad more people are entering into it. Did you see Gladys Smith? She got engaged yesterday too.
Who?
Exactly. You happy for them?
Was that a real person? Or
Are you happy for them?
I don't know who that is.
I'm glad they're entering into the sacred bond of marriage.
What kind of prenup do you think Swift's gonna have Kelsey sign? Because do you think like Taylor Swift's obviously more wealthy than Kelsey, right?
Are you saying you're going to enter into a marriage without the trust of the person you're marrying? That sounds pretty evil to me.
If I'm a celebrity, I'm just saying.
Probably not a real marriage then.
Do you think she's going to change her name to Taylor Kelsey?
Probably should. That's
you think so? Rather than the brand
that's accepted culture. Is you assume your husband, the provider's last name, as we've done since the dawn of time.
Because I think if she became Taylor Kelsey, then anything that says Taylor Swift, I think would be vintage.
Okay.
And possibly even more valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just thought.
Cool.
Pumpkin spice lattes. Do you drink those?
No. Well, because here's the thing. Have you ever eaten just straight pumpkin?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know why?
Because it's not good.
It tastes like an armpit. And so when people like pumpkin spice, they like the sugar and the cinnamon and the spices that get added to it. They don't really like the pumpkin.
Yeah.
So just admit you like diabetes and you like everybody sick, and go eat your sugar lattes and wear your Ugg boots and pretend like you like
sweater weather. That's me. Like
excuses to be unhealthy.
Don't even love the taste of pumpkin spice lattes, but I get jazzed because that means fall is coming.
Yeah, I'll get with that.
Sweaters,
I like fall.
The pumpkins, Halloween, the cool weather. That's like when I see return a pumpkin spice latte, I'm like, don't so much want to drink that. It's just, yes, that's a sign. Amazing season's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
I had one other little thing.
Yeah.
That stuck out to me recently, and this is gonna make me look really weird. Okay. It is. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay.
If you didn't already think I was a total loon,
okay,
this will confirm it.
All right.
I have been increasingly more fascinated with the human body, in particular the brain, and the weird things it can do.
Okay.
And I mentioned a couple days ago that I was on the phone with somebody and we were talking about VHS tapes. And I said VHS multiple times. I was thinking VHS. I went to make a note about a VHS tape. Somebody was asking me, but my hand wrote VCR.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't consciously do that.
Right.
My hand just did it. So the other day, I'm sitting down in my little office ready to record for the radio show that I record for down in Georgia. And daily, I have done this daily for the past 2 or 3 years. Turn on my little Roadcaster, turn on my mic. I look in the mic and I go check real quick just to make sure my levels are moving. I do this every day. And the other day I sit down, turned it on. I go to lean to do my check and I went 625. I have no idea what 625 is. I didn't mean to say 625. I went to go check and it came out to where I was confused. It was coming out of my mouth. 625. What? I didn't purposely say that. And I'm like, what is breaking in my brain? I looked, where did I see those numbers? I looked at the time. It's not 625. I don't think the number is significant. Clearly something I saw on my screen, something I maybe heard in the background, something put those numbers in my head. I didn't say them on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the weirdest thing. And I'm just like, what's breaking in my brain, Joe? What is happening?
It's not breaking.
It's not?
It's not breaking.
What is it?
As the official brain study neurological person in Youngstown studio, let's talk about the brain, because I'm fascinated with it. And it seems like you're embarking on a portion of your brain that you didn't really even know was there.
Apparently.
Now, do you think it's brokenness, or do you think you're digging into a skill set that you didn't know you had?
Well, here's why I'm a little concerned. I just recently saw online, I don't even remember the source, so who knows if this is even true or not. But I was reading some information about there's been some studies lately. When you go to sleep at night, most people experience some form of like sleep paralysis. Your body sort of, you're not like paralyzed, but you are. You don't move in your sleep. Ideally, your body naturally does that. Well, also there are people that will jerk or move, especially if they're dreaming, they move in their sleep. They're finding a correlation between those that move in their sleep and later onset of Parkinson's disease. And apparently it's like a really significant correlation that anyone who jerks a lot, kicks their leg, whatever, has are very likely to develop Parkinson's later in life. I don't know why. I don't know how that works, but this is something they're looking at. So now I'm like, could this be another sign of something to come? These unconscious movements, words that I'm like, I didn't say that on purpose. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened. So now I'm freaked out.
Okay.
Could it be that? Or you think it's something not so?
Yeah. First off,
scary.
recommendation is stop rabbit holing. Okay.
Yeah.
The human body and the human mind have thousands of different variables. So you're cooking a meal and there's 6 ingredients. When you want to know why something's happening, you have 6 to choose from. You can do experiments where adding and removing it. With the human body, there are thousands of them, right? And so to make an extrapolation from that is definitive, like the 1 of 1,000 ingredients was definitely the cause, when you don't know the interactions with the other 1,000. Like, let's just say you eat ginger snaps before you go to bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you watch TV, right? And you wore different slippers and you drank water and you had, add your whatever. You got this ingredients list. So which one of them caused it? You'll never, ever, ever know. And if you're serious about it, what you do is you eliminate unnecessary variables. So you only have a couple of them in play. And then you can start toying with it. But it's so long that we get so many different chemicals and we get exposure to so many different stimulus, and we have so many environmental, things like everything from heating, air conditioner, blocking UV light, drinking drinks with high sugar, like all of those things could be a contributing factor. And that's why, like, our unhealth, as we think that the symptom of everybody being healthy is going to come down to you eat too much sugar. I'm going to say you're probably doing 97 things wrong. And I'm shocked that the body does as well as it does and still sticks together somehow and still able to perform with so many bad things that you're introducing. So it's like, somebody that's eating desserts all day is like, I'm not going to eat cupcakes before bed. You're like, that one's probably only going to give you a marginal effect because it's the 1,000 other things that you're doing that's wrong as well. But the brain part of things, and I think we have a lot of, we do things in our life and we eat different things, and the chemicals we're exposed to make things harder for the brain to do what it's naturally accustomed to. But typically people don't even know how their brain operates. So it's all just this big gamble with an infinity amount of variables that are seemingly out of our control. And then we wonder why things get jacked up on a regular basis, both from a physiological standpoint and also from a intellectual or neurological standpoint. So, I mean, it's fun to talk about, but nobody is going to put the time in to figure out why they're breaking themselves in the ways that they're breaking it. A lot like what RFK is trying. He's taking single dimensions of what we're putting into our body and making an absolute statement that it causes autism. anytime in science, when it comes to human beings, that anybody says anything absolute, I disagree. I really do. Because you might remove that one thing. You create a correlation. Great. Okay. Well, you notice something. Great. That's a starting point, not an ending point.
Yeah.
So.
Why did I say 625?
Because you have a subconscious and you rely heavily on your conscious brain rather than your subconscious. And your subconscious collects things and then knows things like 90% of the capacity of your brain. It's a shitty number, but 90% of your brain is subconscious. But since we cover everything in our conscious brain, we rely on it so heavily. When we get a little nudge from our subconscious brain, it takes us by surprise because we're not used to hearing from it. We don't want to make sense of it. It's not developed and defined.
Like I could see in the VHS example, I absolutely see the correlation. VHS tapes, VCRs, they go together. It weirded me out that my hand wrote it without my brain telling it to write it, but I see a correlation.
What if I told you that you could use, let's just say I limited you to only using your conscious brain for 30 minutes per day. Everything else had to be your subconscious.
I wouldn't know how to do that.
Okay. Have you ever driven to work and kind of zoned out and ended up at work? That was your subconscious. It knows
that's weird.
It knows how to drive. And all it requires, two things, right? It requires a definition, right? And a ritual. All right. If you could put your body on autopilot, all you have to do is define what it is that you're doing and repeat that thing over and over again. Don't make chaotic choices about making things that don't matter different. Just do it the same every time.
Like sitting down, turning it on, going to lean in and say check, check is a little thing I do on the regular.
Yeah. If you did a majority of that, then your intuitions and those little kick-ups from your subconscious brain would be uniform. If you're a chaotic person and you change up a habit and do things different every time and on purpose create entropy where there shouldn't have been entropy, then your subconscious will deliver something that you don't know what to make sense of because it wants to talk. It really does. It wants to help you.
Yeah.
And it's just giving you weird shit instead of the things you require.
Have you heard of, oh my God, what's it called? Is it called free writing? Where you just write and you let thoughts flow and you don't actively think about what you're writing. You just do it. Have you heard of this?
No, never heard of it.
It's supposedly like people do it as like a woo-woo new agey talk to spirits kind of thing. But they claim you could sort of just like clear your mind, don't think, put a pen in your hand or a pencil and a piece of paper. Don't even look. Just let your hand go. Yeah. Just write.
That would
and
be
then you look at the paper and you wrote something you didn't even mean to.
Yeah. That's tapping into what your subconscious, because remember, you got limited senses, limited analog senses that pick up an immense amount of data around you, seeing things, smelling things, hearing things, and it's delivering it into your mind, right? And there's the conscious is registering what you're directing it to. So if you're like, I'm going to see blue cars today, you've put the subconscious on notice that when it sees blue cars, it pays attention to the thing that you gave it as a directive. There were blue cars there before, but because you weren't looking for it, it didn't register as having a blue car. And all of a sudden, you notice you buy a new car and you notice there are so many of your same car on the road. You never even noticed it before. And so like if I were to tell you your data stream was 100 megabits of data at any given time and your consciousness can only handle about 1 megabit, you would be thinking like, where's all this 99 megabits of information going if I don't even know that it's coming in there? Well, your subconscious is managing it and categorizing it so long that you give it a directive to pay attention to that thing. So otherwise, it's just misinformation.
So do you think it was kind of like when it came out, it was sort of me crossing this line of conscious, subconscious that sort of crossed? Like, have you ever seen like a kid will accidentally call their teacher mom?
Yeah.
Just out of habit, or like, if you get off the phone with your spouse and you're like, love you, then you get off this phone with like a client, you're like, love you. Oh, sorry, like habit.
Well, just think when you drive to work, the zoning out is necessary where your brain moves on to the next thing, stops thinking about the thing that you were before, whether or not it's, imagining something or you're just thinking about something you're going to be working on next. It gives that zone out period where your subconscious takes over and continues to manage whatever it was doing before.
Yeah. And
So
that's scary.
chances are that when you did your mic check, your brain went to what you were going to talk about next or whatever. And the mic check, it was just like, it's got to deliver something. I love you. Right. That kind of thing.
And I don't know why those numbers came out, but clearly it was something.
It was in your subconscious from somewhere, and it probably doesn't matter. But the important part is you got delivered something without having to even ask for it. So I would say use that as a utility and make better use of the information that it's collecting.
Oh, I didn't even know I was doing it until it happened.
Right, but it's evidence that it collected something that you didn't consciously give it a direction to do. So light bulb turns on and say, oh, my subconscious can do that. Let's try to do that on purpose rather than these accidents. And I get totally distracted by the hokiness of 625 and trying to make sense of the mystery of 625 now and saying, oh, here's what's actually happening. And let's use that.
Kind of like they say the human brain can't make up a face. So when you dream at night, every person in your dream is a face you have seen. You just didn't realize you were committing that to memory, I guess. Maybe you couldn't actively tell someone, I don't even know what they look like. I don't remember what they look like. Another weird thing. You ever meet someone and forget what they look like almost immediately? No. That's never happened to you?
It hasn't.
I've heard of other people tell me this. Like if you met someone out somewhere and they said, hey, let me get your number. I'll call you. We're going to go on a date. Sounds good. Here's my number. Nice to meet you. Bye. You don't remember what they look like until
let me tell you why. See, I read lips. I'm staring directly at your face. So it makes an impression into my brain what you look like.
You're actively noticing.
Yes.
Whereas other people are just like,
yeah, they're probably not making good eye contact. They're straying off. So they don't really see the person that they're talking to as much as I do, where I stare at you and your lips all show long.
So it could be like, especially in that situation that you just met, maybe it's awkward. Maybe you're looking away more.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yep.
You ever see the show Criminal Minds?
Yeah.
Where they will hypnotize people to say, what did this person look like? And they're like, I don't know. I saw him for half a second. I don't know that. But then they hypnotize them and you do actually know.
Your subconscious collected that information and it's stored there. It's in the brain, but your conscious brain didn't register or wasn't trying to register that face. Now, if it's one of my business partners, he is really good with names. Okay. And I was like, dude, you remember everyone. How do you make these associations? And he said he makes a physical sentence about everyone. So whatever is, if it's your name's Ted, right? Well, I'm not going to remember Ted, but I'm going to figure out a way to make an association between Ted and something so that when the something is easy to remember. Because when I see the next time, that thing's still going to be there. Like if Ted is overweight and he likes lasagna, and you make an association between Ted and lasagna. You see him as like, lasagna! And then you translate it back to Ted, right?
And then you hope to God you don't just say lasagna or overweight or...
Right. But you create those little memory associations when you want to remember a name. I don't try to remember the name, so I don't make the association. So when I meet you the second time, I know who you are, but I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I know who you are?
Yeah.
Physically, I looked at you enough. You made an impression. The name wasn't as important as what you were saying and what you looked like. So I just have a different association. I could probably tell you what your lips look like, right? Better than I could remember your name. Like, oh, lollipop sucker, right? I remember that girl, lollipop sucker.
I'm very self-conscious now about my mouth.
Why?
So what about when do you ever see someone and you know them,
mm-hmm.
you know their face, but you don't remember how you know them or where you've seen them, or you're like, and then you both kind of do this like, we've met. Yes. Where did we meet?
I just say that to them.
You say that to them?
Yes.
How do I know you?
No, I recognize you. Remind me how I know you.
But do you ever feel weird if like I had somebody come up to me one time years ago. I'm just like getting something at the post office. Someone's like, hey, girl, how are you? And I'm like, good. Hey, she's like, oh, it's so good to see you. You too. And it was so friendly that I'm like, I must really know this person. I have no idea who they are. And they're just like, oh, yeah, how's work going? You still at the blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah. And I'm just like, please, God, please give it to me. Give it to me. Because at this point, I don't want to be like, I'm sorry, who are you again? It would have been different if it were a greeting like, oh, hi, like, how are you? And we both maybe could have had that moment that we said, how do we know each other again? But this very much felt like if I say that, it's going to be weird because she thinks we're real close.
Hold on. So the interaction wasn't already weird?
It was weird to me.
So doing a different weird where then you know their name is weirder?
Oh,
no,
I couldn't even.
Cut through
I didn't
the
even know
bullshit.
who it was, how I know them.
Next time,
it finally came
next
to me.
time, I want you to say that your brain can only handle in your conscious side of things so many different variations of who you know. If you meet hundreds of people, there's a chance you're not going to register who they are. So just freaking ask them. They're not going to be insulted. They're not going to say, how dare she not remember me? Right? Everybody has this phenomenon because everybody is trying to remember too many people.
Especially women that change their hair often. That gets me too.
Yeah.
Like there are some women that wear wigs and so their hair is always different.
No,
it takes me a few times to know who they are.
No, I want you to take the top 25 people that you should remember their name, right? Important people in your life. Make sure you don't forget those ones. And everybody else, I want you to say to yourself, I meet hundreds of people per month. I am not expecting myself to remember all of them. And they probably don't remember me either. So I'm just going to say, who are you? And everything's going to be cool on the other side of it.
Oh, it's too awkward.
I will get, okay. So I will give you $20 every time that you say that, right? And they're just like, they clutch their pearls and they distance themselves from you forever because they're so insulted. $20 bounty every time that actually happens. Okay.
Because sometimes I've been on the other end where I have felt the need to say, I don't know if you remember me. I'm so-and-so. We met at blah, blah, blah. And they might say, yeah, of course I do. But I'd rather give them that.
That's fine. And that's the expectation is nobody is going to remember everybody they run into if you haven't seen them in a period of time.
Yeah. Like at our softball game, Isaac, hey, nice to finally meet you. I said, we've met before.
Yeah.
He's like, we have
hundreds of people.
Yeah. But I said, I was like, this is like 2 years ago.
Here's the thing. I think you're very egotistical. Okay. And I think
absolutely
you're so egotistical. And you're like, I'm Kelin. Everybody should remember me.
You don't remember that one time 2 years ago for 30 seconds that we said hello?
So that's your ego talking, and you know that you want to be remembered. So you should be the remembered. That's guilt and ego that's talking.
Maybe it's I remembered someone. I cared enough.
No. It's not cared enough.
Why didn't you care enough to remember?
That's BS. It's not remembering someone is not caring for them. You can only handle so many. Your phone can handle lots of names. Your brain can't handle lots of names.
Oh, crap. That's true. Dennis said you didn't remember me when you came back here. I didn't. First day when I came to work here, Dennis was
the ideal of being able to remember is not an existent thing. So clear that out of your brain. And no, it's not that they're not important enough not to remember. It's that your carrying capacity for names is limited like everybody else's is.
And in my defense, Dennis, I met you like as a teenager. And then I meet you again, almost 40. This is like, I don't know who you are.
This is the shame. This is the shame that comes from it. And don't feel that shame.
I know.
I don't expect you to remember names. I don't.
I did feel bad. I felt bad I didn't remember him.
That's what's getting in your way, those negative feelings.
Have you ever allowed someone to call you by the wrong name so long that now you can't correct them or else they want to know why you never correct
just be truthful with people.
I did that too.
Just be truthful.
Listen, when your name is Kelin, you get called Helen a lot.
Yeah, say, my name is not Helen.
It's actually Kelin.
Yeah,
Helen.
And you don't have to say it with attitude. You're like, hey, just want to make a correction here. Real quick. It's not Helen. It is Kelin. If you say it like that, it'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry, Kelin.
Yeah. Well, one time, because sometimes if it's like, it doesn't matter, I'm never going to talk to this person again, I just let it go. And I think I was thinking that, and then I continued to see this person all the time. And I was Helen.
You made
and I'm
one mistake and it's snowballed.
I can't do it now until somebody else was around and heard her say it and goes, look, Kelin, her name's Kelin. And she's like, I've been calling you Helen. And I said, yeah, I just went with it.
Mm-hmm. We're all born with so much memory. We use it how we choose. Yes, and
I don't
really,
even know if we choose. I don't
we
think
do
we
choose.
actively
Oh, we
choose.
do choose.
Like I chose to not remember Dennis over the next 20 years.
No. Think of it like this: you either have developed skills. Okay, so like you swing a baseball bat at the softball game, right?
Yeah.
When you swing a baseball bat, you have no muscle memory of it, right? But
Yeah.
if you went home every day and swung that bat 100 times and played games every weekend, there would be a point where it's ingrained in your brain, right? How to swing a baseball bat. You wouldn't have to think about it. You wouldn't have to feel a certain way about it. It would be as perfect as you practiced it to be. Same thing happens with names. Same things happens with people. The more you spend time around people and you call them names and you make associations with them, that muscle memory gets in your brain and then they're unforgettable. If I meet you at a party and you say your name, there's no associations. So what am I attaching it to other than I want to remember this thing? So you'd have to practice and force it into your brain.
Why is it when I first moved back to this area, I would see people in town that I wouldn't say I knew when I was a kid. I knew of them. Like I saw them in school. Maybe they were a couple grades below me or a couple grades ahead of me. I don't know their name. I've never interacted with them. But as a kid growing up, they were familiar faces I saw around the area. As a kid, I come back 15, 20 years later and I see that same person. When the last image in my brain was them as a child, they are now a full-grown adult and I can tell you who they are.
Yeah, for sure.
I know exactly who that person is. They look like the older version of the child in my brain.
Right.
But I don't remember someone I see regularly.
Well, you got to think though. As a kid, you didn't have a lot of competing thoughts at the time. Your life was less stressful. There were less things going on. You were better at absorbing information then because you were basically building yourselves as a human being. And so it was really good at remembering things. It was spongy. Now we kind of like stop learning. So our brain training, like, do we really go at 8 hours of training to try to do memorization and all of that kind of stuff? No, we lost that skill set. So now you go from building and learning to managing. You manage a life, you manage kids, you have a household, a job, all of that stuff. Now we're good managers at keeping what we've already have going. What if you never stop learning? What if it was you spend 8 hours and you still spend out 8 hours today? Do you think you'd still have the ability to memorize and pick up people's name if you never stopped doing it after you graduated? For sure.
Yeah.
It would be a skill set.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah, for sure. That's how the brain works.
I mean, I remember one time I was driving and I saw a jogger, just a person jogging outside. And I don't know them. I've never met them, but I knew who they were. Oh, they work over at such and such place. They work at some restaurant. And I'm like, immediately can associate that person with this place, having never had a conversation with them in my life, but a person I've seen 5, 10, 12 times.
I wanted you to pay attention to that. I want you to be able to tell when you're exposed to a piece of information, if it is something that you know it's going to be easy for you to remember, or if you know that this is something that's probably going to do a brain wipe 3 weeks from now. And try to figure out like what you're bad at remembering. Like if you do have a traumatic event, you will remember things differently than if you were, just relaxed and watching TV. And pay attention to what your version of a brain is good at receiving and absorbing, and which ones it like goes in and it's like, I don't know what to do with this, and then it's expelled and I'll just get to it later. If I run into you a second time, I'll see if I can figure a new merge way to get into the conscious side. And you'll learn something about how your brain works. And it's not universal. Not everybody receives that information the same. Okay. So you'll learn a little bit about how you learn it. So pay attention to stuff like, man, I can't believe I remembered that. Okay. Put that on your list. And I can't believe I forgot that so quickly, and put that on your list and see if you can still make those hokey correlations between what similar variables existed on both of those examples, and you can figure yourself out a little bit.
Yeah. Like I've often said, I can recall a blip, a moment in time from years ago that literally does not matter. It wasn't a major event. It wasn't something memorable. It was a blip in my everyday is still there. But I don't remember going. I've been to Disney World and couldn't tell you much about it. I've had like a holiday where something funny happened or big happened and we all went and did something. Can't picture it in my brain. And I'm like, what is happening? That's something that took time and was big and memorable. I can't bring up any pictures about it, but something like, oh, I remember walking in my bedroom and putting something away.
Once you make your list of like what makes you remember things and what really just escapes you, you will find that even if you wanted to remember an event that was great, right?
Mhm.
If it didn't contain any of the things on your list, like if you're like, hey, when I write things down in handwriting, I remember it. And I'm going to say, hey, about this Disney, did you do a diary of what you did? I bet you if you did on a diary, then you would remember it. Or if I'm visual, so that if I can recreate the image in my brain. Or, okay, did you take certain things you wanted to remember and concoct a visual and go back to pictures and reinforce the things that you did? I bet you didn't do anything on the I remember list as to why you don't remember it. So don't be shocked. Don't be offended that your brain didn't do it in spite of you not giving it the information in the way that it receives it.
Like, what the hell, brain?
Yeah.
What am I paying you for?
Know your brain a little bit better. Know it. Know your brain.
I need to know my brain a little better.
Jerry says that's why I go by Jerry as Gerald was one too many times Harold. Yeah. So little made it easier for people. And that's a construct that you can do too.
Yeah. Like sometimes people will call me Kelly and I'll accept that. My family calls me Kelly. So I'm like, if you say Kelly close enough, we're going with it. And if they're like, oh, I thought your name was Kellen, either one. Don't care. Go with either one. But Helen, it's never been Helen. It's just not Helen.
Dennis says, I can remember the lyrics of most 80s songs, but I often forget why I come into the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. Like if so you have repetition of a song, repetition of chords, repetitions of a beat, and you populate that with ideas in a song, the lyrics go in really easy because you're setting tempo to it. Mm-hmm. I challenge you to take something you want to remember and make a song out of it, repeat it 15 times on your way to work. And what do you bet that you're going to remember that thing? Because you're not remembering the idea, you're remembering the melody, you're remembering the chords.
That's how I taught my kids when they were very young. I taught them our phone number because I made it a song.
So that's a recognition what your brain has the easiest time to absorb and impart, and use it. Use that leverage.
Yeah. Like, why do I know song lyrics? Why can I remember a cheer from high school cheerleading before a math equation?
But change it. Instead of questioning why, make a thing. I remember things when they're attached to lyrics. You're making a statement you're asked that question. Why can I remember it? What are you really asking when you're making it sound like it's a question? What information could I say that you'd be like, epiphany, right?
Yeah.
We get in a habit of making those passive aggressive questions instead of just making statements.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I've noticed too that things will stick with me more if I understand them than if I'm just memorizing, I guess.
That's why I disagree with education system, because it's 80% memorization and 20% understanding.
Yeah.
Way disagree.
That's why you have helped me to realize I've always been terrible at math because I never understood what we were doing. Mm-hmm. It was just, here are the steps. Remember the steps to find the answer.
Pass the test and move on.
But I don't understand what we're doing.
You really could make the argument that traditional education breaks people's brains. You could make that argument. You really could. You got 8 years of conditioning, and you're conditioned in exactly opposite of how naturally the brain is supposed to operate. So you get zombies. You get really brain dead people going that route.
Well, what do we do?
You change education so that you get people who know better, segment out the population. Like there are some people that need to be zombified. There just they're not going to ever have the capacity to be part of, society. Mm-hmm. They need to be managed, right? But then you have high intellect people that need to, like you, have an understanding of something so you can make practical use of it. And say, if you had two paths, if you had understanding and practical use and zombification, give you that choice in kindergarten. Is Kellen going to does she need to be a zombie, or does she look like and sound like and feel like she's going to be a major contributor? So we need to teach her how to think rather than what to think.
Yeah.
And it's just truth.
I mean, like technology. I've said I've been bad with technology too. Again, because it's always just been, if you're looking at a Rodecaster, for example, everyone's like, just have this button, this button, this button on. Don't touch it. And now if somebody comes in and changes it, I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. Something's different. And I don't remember what it looked like before. Unless I know this button controls this. You want this to turn on, that's this. If you want this to turn on, it's this. And if you want, and then if I understand what everything does, I go, oh, well, I need these all to work. So this has to be here and this has to be here. And I figure it out rather than panic. Looks different. I don't remember what it looked like before and I'm screwed. Yeah. I can figure it out.
And that's why it's so important to discriminate and to separate into the people who, there are some people that just want to be told what to do. They don't want to know why. They just want to get and produce the cog, right?
Yeah.
Or the widget. They want to be the cog, and let them be that. I'm gonna call them non-intelligent, but it's really not fair. They just don't find passion or appreciation for having lots of understanding about things. Separate them early and know that these are our zombies, and we want to give them a assembly line job so they will find their happiness, so they don't have to wonder about the end product. Let the smart people figure out the end product, and then you have everybody else who want to do stuff and they want to understand stuff and they want to know stuff, and separate them early so that they can get the proper education, because the intelligent ones get dumber. Okay, that's fine. We put a big, hampering in where those people could develop. We do make the dumb people a little bit smarter. So you have to say, can we accomplish both? Can we give the smart people a long runway where they can get the most out of the conditioning that goes through education, an unconventional education, and everybody else gets the traditional one? It's not going to feel good to be separated and put in the dumb camp, but you're going to have better branding than what I'm suggesting. The dumb camp is not going to work.
It's not going to go over well.
No, not at all.
It's bad marketing.
Terrible marketing. Give them a flow chart and let them go. Yeah, there's some people that can freaking handle. That's not everybody. And that's why, like, this weird thing that we're doing by trying to make everybody equal is not having an understanding in human beings. Everybody's freaking different. And the moment that you try to integrate different people trying to do the same thing, you're not going to have unity, right? Which you think it is. The kumbaya, drum players, they think you're going to have unity if we just all get together. No, let different people go do different things and be happy in their differences.
Yeah, because if you don't have differences, that's where weakness comes out.
Right.
You have to have differences and different ways of thinking to see your blind spots and things you wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly. But I don't know why we have this obsession with making people all the same. They're just not. And they're not happy trying to be the same.
Yeah. And how boring would it be if everybody was all the same? Can you imagine if we had a political climate that everybody was on the same page? Like, everyone's good. President's
you haven't read
great.
Utopia
We're
yet,
good.
right?
No.
You got to read Utopia, because every time you say this, ancient philosophers since the beginning of time have contemplated that and suggested that you can control all people and get them unified in the noble cause. You don't see any problems with the noble cause and keeping everybody on, right? Yeah. Taking all of human natures and suspending them like they don't even exist. There will never be envy and greed and aggression and everything that makes us human. You take all of the human elements, which is all of our strengths and superpowers, and you suspend them. You neuter us. Now we're the apathetic, we're
AI robots.
Exactly. If you take human nature out of it, you have utopia. But then you have all the reasons where utopia would have been great, because you took all of the human element out of the utopia. It's a contradiction where all of the emotionalized people, they believe that it's possible if just the right person managing it. And then everybody who knows human nature will say, yeah, don't even try it, because you're not the first to come up with this epiphany, and it's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's why I don't care what robots can make easier for us. It's a bad idea to make robots do everything.
Yeah. So I have the right recipe.
Yeah.
Right. I do. And I've been preaching it since I've had done anything public. Right. It's even on the banner on my Facebook page.
I don't know what it is.
Okay. It's actually a rope that has two segments. It has entropy, chaos, and it has order. Right. Human beings, what we do is we create just enough chaos and entropy, unknowns like variables and whatever. But then we take that entropy, that movement, and reorder it right? We give it compartmentalization and structure it, give ourselves some peace and security. And as soon as we get peace and security, we go back to entropy. So it's just enough entropy that you can handle. So if you get put in a position where it's, it's a compromising thing where you're feeling a little off about it, you're not a master of it. Like, do you want to be the person who's bad at softball and you have all of this entropy, all this feeling, all this emotional energy that you want to be better, and then you practice and you become better, and you're like, now I'm better, it's kind of boring, like I don't have the challenge in being better anymore, so now I'm going to go create some more entropy to use it as fuel to get better at something, and you have this endless cycle of getting better. And utopia believes that you can take the pendulum and you could bring it to the side that's going to be happiness, and there's no threat that it's going to go to the other side. And then when it goes to the other side, you hate it and you don't want to be there anymore. So it's just a proper balance between just enough entropy and just enough order.
Yeah, because I think if things became too perfect, too great, too easy, too whatever, then you're like, all right, this sucks.
Yeah, what if your
up.
happiness is exactly opposite of somebody else's happiness, right? Which means if you're happy, then they are really unhappy. So the balance between it, the compromise between two people are, I'm going to get a little bit unhappy so that you can be happy, and they're going to get a little unhappy so that is the actual utopia, not perfection and perfectness. It is
balance.
It's exactly right. The balancing of that pendulum swing.
That's pretty dang hard to do.
Yeah, because then you have to have the fabric of morality that means that you care whether or not they're happy again.
You care whether it's balanced.
Right. And so if you don't, if you have ego and you have envy and you have greed and jealousy and sloth and all of the other deadly sins, then it's going to disrupt your utopia, because there's going to be one that gets you. Every person, because we're human beings, we suffer from one of those deadly sins. And the secularists believed, right? I was just jam on the secularists because they ruined all of the formula behind how you can achieve unity and everything good, right? And saying human beings will just come to that conclusion and not fall victim to the deadly sins. No, of course not.
We know what right and wrong is. We just know.
Yeah, we know one or two right and wrong things, and we are totally oblivious to the 8 other things that make it so that you will never have that perfection. That's really what they did to us.
Yeah, I keep thinking of the expression idle hands. You know that idle hands are the devil's plaything?
Yeah.
Like, it's like if things are, I don't know, if you're just sort of, it's good and there's nothing to stir up and there's nothing that's like,
I would really like to go and like poll thousands of people and just float different stuff that's in our culture, idioms and morals to stories, and say, what's it really trying to tell you? And see if yeah. If you see how superficial we are, and it's like, oh, that story's about a goat. No, get past the goat and get past the river and get past the scorpion. What's it really trying? Ancient philosophy has built itself into what we tell each other, so the message is received about what you can counter yourself by digging into the story and see what it is. See how superficial we are. I'd really like to know. But my guess, 25% of the people get the actual message, and 75% get hung up on something that has nothing to do with why the story was told.
The story, what's it called? It's not about the nail or the nail in the head. Have you heard of that?
No, give it to me. And I'll do it. Let's do it real life. Give me some kind of story that's supposed to have a deeper meaning, and then I'll see if I can dig deep enough to see if I really
All right,
get
I'm
it.
Paraphrasing. So I know people are going to be like, oh, that's not how it goes, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I'm going to paraphrase it. Husband and wife are having a conversation, and the wife has a literal nail driven right through her forehead.
Okay.
And she's just like, God, it's just, I've been so stressed lately and I don't feel well. And I have these headaches all the time. And he's like, well, yeah, you got a freaking nail in your head. Well, stop interrupting me. I'm trying to tell you that I don't feel good and I just want this pain to stop. And well, then take the nail out. You're always doing this. You're always trying to interject and fix something. And I just want to tell you that I wish that I could find somebody that would understand, somebody that could relate to me and give me some guidance or some empathy a little bit, that I'm feeling some kind of way. And he's like, I'm telling you, you'd feel better if you just took the nail out of your forehead. And the whole thing is, it's not about the nail in her head.
All right, so let me give you some translations and see how I interpret this.
Yeah.
So current culture, this story is about Trump deregulating the safety on construction zones, and the nail is obviously evidence that people are getting injured, and the injury is the point. The injury and Trump and his total disregard for human safety. That's number one. Number two is let's see, that I can't even get it. This is too obvious.
I was like, what?
That's the only one I was able to come up with that was a little outlandish. But no, it's, yeah, I don't really have to translate this one. I think everybody listening to it says it's obvious.
Stories like that, stories like Boy Who Cried Wolf, things of that nature, where everyone's like, oh, well, then just don't. Because there was a wolf. It's like, yeah, not the
Okay, so
not the
what
point.
about the scorpion and the frog, or the scorpion and the turtle, whichever one you buy into? It's in my nature. You ever heard that one?
Oh, yeah, something like it bites them or stings them or something. And it's in my, I'm a scorpion.
So what's the underlying message then to human beings, what we can graft from that story?
I mean, I think I know the story.
Because there's a couple of interpretations. And so everybody's going to get some meaning out of this one because it's got 2 or 3.
Like someone's going to do what it's in their nature. You can't change anyone.
Okay. Now, who's the villain in that story? Is it the scorpion or is it the frog or turtle? Because you got to have a villain.
I don't know the story well.
Okay. So basically, the scorpion and the frog, I'm going to use frog because that's the one I heard first.
Uh-huh.
They're on the bank of a river and the scorpion wants to get across. And the scorpion says, hey, would you give me a ride across the river? And the frog says, no, if I give you a ride, you're just going to sting me and we're going to drown, right? We're both going to drown. And the scorpion says, I will not sting you. And the frog says, yes, you're totally going to sting me. And the scorpion says, I will not sting you. And so the scorpion climbs on the frog's back, and the frog starts swimming across the river, and the scorpion stings the frog, and they both, drown. Or there's more dialogue before this. The scorpion says, or the frog says, you stung me. Now we're both going to die. And the scorpion then says, I couldn't help it. It's in my nature. And they both drown and die. So what's the message there? Who's the villain?
Well, the frog ignored some red flags.
Okay.
He knew what was going to happen, and he trusted that maybe it won't, and he shouldn't have.
Okay.
And the scorpion was like a little liar, basically. Not a liar, but thought he could control it, but couldn't. Still want to say the scorpion's the bad guy in this.
I say the frog is the bad guy.
I mean, the frog did something dumb.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have trusted him.
Yeah. So for instance, if the first message is you have to know the nature of the people that you trust in, right? If you know someone to be a liar, right, then you don't put yourself and martyr yourself when you know what the end result is going to be. That would be that stupidity that you talked about. So number one message is know the nature of the person that you're dealing with. I'm not saying don't enter into something with untrustworthy foes, but know their nature before it is. And if it's obvious, like the stinger on a scorpion, you know the potential dangers based on things that you can observe about that person. So it's being able to pick out potentials that you don't know the nature and make your own extrapolations between your environment. So if you see a tree, look at the risk to the tree from falling and having leaves and everything that's associated, and what your risk tolerance is and what you're willing to do based on the risk tolerances that are there. And don't suspect, the third message is don't suspend your intuitions about what's about to happen without covering your ass and equally leveraging in the other way. So if you would make suggestion to the frog, and the frog needs to take the scorpion over there. He's doing a good service to another person. How could you leverage the scorpion so that he would not give into his nature and he would not sting you?
Well, in the story, does he say if you sting me, we're both going to die?
I believe so. Yeah. He points out the fact that if you sting us, we're both
so
going to
you
die.
can't even threaten that.
Right. So all the frog would have had to do was, let's spend some time on the shore, and I'm going to wrap some shit around your stinger. So even if you go to sting me, we're not both going to die.
Yeah.
And if you try to sting me, knowing that you have this thing wrapped and you can't sting anyway, then I'll know that it's not something that could even been helped. It's just part of your nature. And I'll kind of forgive you, but I protected myself against being stung. That's all that would have happened.
You know what that makes me think of?
Right.
Have you ever seen The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Where he's like, they were both poisoned. I spent the last several years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, that
yeah.
I don't know how we got into
Sorry.
freaking squirrel.
My
All right.
brain went, ooh, movies.
All right, let's talk about burning of the American flag. I want to see how you feel about the executive order making it 1 year punishable in prison for burning the American flag.
So I have mixed feelings about this. Shocker. I tend to. Do I want someone burning the American flag? No. I would not do it. I would not want anyone else to do it. I think it's a bad thing. I think it's a disrespectful thing. I think it should absolutely, at the bare minimum, be frowned upon. But to make it illegal, punishable by jail time, I don't know if that sits right with me. In a free country, in a country that we have the right to protest, the right to say things. Now, granted, without consequence, that's not a thing. You're going to face consequences. But law, jail, being arrested for something like that feels like, while I could definitely understand someone saying, oh, well, he was being a jerk and you shouldn't have done that. And I died for that flag and whatever. And people being upset 100%. But it, for some reason, to me, still feels very bordering on third world country-ish, like bordering on like, well, then what else would be illegal to do? Like it almost feels like a slippery slope, maybe like a tiny baby step into controlling the people and what you can and can't do and things like that. I don't know.
Okay, so it's definitely a First Amendment issue, the expression of your displeasure with the country burning the American flag. And if we were in utopia and we really, it's one way or the other. Either burning things in protest is good or bad. So if I took the Nazi flag and I hate the Nazis and I burn the Nazi flag, either that's a free expression or that's you go to jail for burning a flag that is sacred to somebody. Right? Because it doesn't mean that everybody has to uniformly like the country that they live in. So if they don't like it and they want to burn it, that's fine. LGBTQ flags. If I don't like LGBTQ, I got to either light it on fire and not be threatened with jail time, or I can light it on fire if I don't like them. We live in a country right now where we have things like hate speech, right? That you don't have the freedom of expression if this stupid category of hate speech, if it qualifies for one of those. You are third world if you could be regulated by the speech that comes out of your mouth, unless you are in principle. You can't say anything hateful. So if I say, I hate Christians, I hate gay people, one of those two things, right? They either have to be both equally absurd and they have to be punishable, or neither of them. And you can say your displeasure and you can do it in front of people. But with other First Amendment rights, crowded theater rules apply. If you in a crowded theater say something that causes damage, destruction, or chaos, you're responsible because you said the thing. If it's an actual fire, you save it. You then own whatever happens because you said that thing, right? You can't just say fire. So if I go and burn a Trump flag in my backyard with nobody watching, that's your property. That's your expression. Nobody saw you even do it. You could 0% chance you cause any kind of destruction because of it. But if you take a Trump flag and you go in the middle of a Trump rally and you light it on fire and things happen because you did that, you own everything that happened because the potential for crowded theater came really into play when you did that. So your expression does not get you out of the repercussions from having done the thing. So if you want a safe flag burning where you could just express yourself in front of your family, do it in your backyard, 0% chance you go to prison. So that's the sort of like the accurate way of looking at things.
Especially when the proper way to discard a damaged flag is to burn it.
Yeah, well, it's not about it's not
right. It's about your protest. It's about what you're doing.
Your expression comes with responsibilities, and as long as you can handle the responsibility, burn away. You can't take someone else's flag and burn it because that's a totally different law that you broke. You can't cause public property from being damaged. So if if you light that on fire and you put your alcohol on it to make sure that it burns and it leaves a big spot, you better be there cleaning up the spot and leave it so that you damage nobody other property.
Like the guy that got arrested. He's like, this is my right to protest. And it's like, dude, you have an open fire in the public near the White House. Like, that's why you're being arrested, dude.
Yeah. If in a place where I am not allowed to make a campfire, you can't burn a flag. You can go to places where open fires are allowed. If I go to a campground, it says no open fires. Right?
Yeah.
And I can't light a campfire because I am disallowed from doing it. You burning a flag is just an open campfire as far as I'm
concerned. I don't care
concerned.
if it's a flag or if it's some newspaper and kindling. Like,
exactly.
You can't have an open fire.
You cannot have a fire here no matter what you're burning.
Yeah.
So the answer to this is you depoliticize it and make it just make sense on a principled standpoint. And you already have all of your answers. You don't need any new laws. You don't need Supreme Courts to agree with you. This is what you can do, and everybody's happy with it. Now, it is worthwhile exploring the hate speech and the sidewalks that are painted in pride. People went to jail for putting tire marks on pride flags as part of hate speech. There shouldn't be a protected class of people.
People went to jail for that?
People went to jail. They hunted them down and prosecuted them for hate speech for doing that to the pride walkways.
Hate speech illegal?
Hate speech is illegal in some places. They're prosecuting.
Not here.
What, in the United States?
Yeah.
Not in Ohio. I can't see Ohio doing something like that. In DC and Oregon and New York and California.
You can get arrested and serve time for something you said.
There were kids. Let me see. Let me see what ended up happening to them because I don't remember.
Isn't that the whole thing of like America was founded on?
On rainbow crosswalk.
What?
10 years in jail. That was in Washington.
Skid marks on a road.
Yep.
On a road. Vehicles drive on roads.
Yes. So if
we think a skid mark might get on this,
if we have picked certain representations that are so sacred that you can't even put tire marks on them, then that needs to apply to all sacred things.
Why would you paint something on a road if you were that concerned with tire marks being on it?
We should make a parable about it. Like we'll make a parable about the face tattoo, right? Everybody keeps giving me attention that I do not like. And you're like, you have a face tattoo. But they're giving me mean looks and saying things to me unwarrantedly. You have a face tattoo. So long that we're in an area where we want to put a lot of things in your face to see if we can incite you into anger. We're not celebrating anything. We want to piss people off that are our enemies. And when you piss those people off, guess who is now responsible for the incitement and the result of having that thing? The person that put the rainbow flag. So but hate speech, what it does is it obscures who's responsible for the bad action. So if you take the big dually truck that came across your rainbow flag and put skid marks down on it and created destruction of rubber on road, would that person remove the rainbow flag? And would the person have done the same thing had the rainbow flag not been there? It was the rainbow flag that elicited the public destruction of property. If I go through a parking lot and make donuts in it, guess what happens? I get in trouble because I defaced something that did not belong to me. What happens if I put skid marks in my own driveway? Nobody cares because it was my tires and my driveway, and I just messed up something that I owned.
Yeah. If I went onto your property and burned a flag that you owned,
nobody cares.
But if I'm destroying your property, I'm in trouble for destroying your property.
These are simple things. I burned a flag. Okay. Was it yours? Yes. Okay. I don't care. Did you do it publicly? Okay, so it's an expression. Did you cause any violence because of it, right? Did you burn, somebody's shed down in doing it? Okay, well, those we know already which is allowable and not. So long that you do the thing and you affect no other people, you're in the clear. You're not going to prison. If you do it and it was somebody else's and you destroyed somebody else's, probably an incited violence, now you're in trouble. Not because you burned the flag, but you used it in the commission of 5 other crimes.
Did those teens deface a roadway that was public, or was it privately owned by somebody that had the right to put whatever kind of paint down they want on their private property.
Yeah, so if they would have done that on the street, they still could have got a ticket for reckless operation, and that would have been justified because they were recklessly operating their vehicle.
Yeah.
Defacing a public street and removing the paint that the city had to put down, defacing public property, absolutely.
But to say you're being a jerk to gay
Hate
people,
crime?
I'd be like,
hold up.
What?
Exactly. That's what's upside down about
And
it.
again, you're not free from consequence. Let's say that story goes viral and your employer sees it. And your employer's like, you're kind of a jerk and I don't want you working for me anymore, and fires you. Consequence.
Exactly.
If someone
They
sees
own
you doing
that
it
action.
and they don't like it, maybe they go and they jack with your car or whatever. Hey, maybe you shouldn't have ticked somebody off. There are consequences to what you do.
Yeah, you're not free from consequences.
Yes, but legal ramifications. You will spend 10 years in prison for saying something mean.
Mhm.
Is not America. That's ridiculous.
And I'm glad you're consistent on that, because you said that if we take the right to express yourself with flag burning, it feels like it's third world where, we're really suppressing speech using the government. You're consistent on it because even the stuff that you wouldn't mind seeing burned, you would stand up for that thing in equal proportions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't want to see anyone face backlash, face hate because of who they are, what they believe in. Like if I'm flying a pumpkin spice latte flag and someone lights it on fire because they hate pumpkin spice lattes, I don't want that. You're a jerk. Don't do that.
I feel kind of targeted right now. Like you're looking at me.
Listen, it was the
as
first thing
suspect.
I thought of. It was the
First
first thing I
suspect
thought of.
in the investigation is Joe.
Yes. But it's one thing if you came on my property and destroyed my property, my pumpkin spice latte. I'm going to look at that differently than I went to a public road and I painted pumpkin spice latte on it. I had no right to do that. I don't own that road. And you drove over it and ruined it. You're not going to jail for that. I might. I defaced public property.
Now, what if you knew someone hated pumpkin spice and hated everything October, and you grabbed your flag and pushed it in your face and said, pumpkin spice, right? Trying to get you angry, trying to incite something. Now we get that little line of now what is the responsibility? Because now the flag person has some responsibility because they were trying to bait you into a fight or having your flag burned or some kind of consequence. But the other person needs to have the discipline not to react. But if, let's just say you did that, right?
You're instigating.
You did that and I didn't react to it whatsoever. And you get the ticket now for trying to incite or harassing me with something that you were trying to get in my face. That's how it can go down in one respect. If I react to it, I burn your flag. Now you're inciting, you're harassing, and I'm destroying your property. Now we're both in trouble.
Yeah.
Lay out the rules so they make logical sense and make people adhere to things, even when they don't like it.
Yeah. If someone comes up to you and punches you in the face and you do nothing but call the police, that's assault. Arrest that person. But if you punch back and you keep going, now it's a fight. Now you're both in trouble.
Exactly.
So what is it he signed? It's
an executive order. And if you read the executive order, it's got an angle on it where it's not, if I go and burn a flag, I don't go to prison. It's when it's connected to inciting that violence that we're talking about, when it causes a stir, when it makes violence happen, when people destroy property, you become then responsible and you can go to jail. Number two, which is, go ahead. What were you going to say?
To me, this feels very much like a show.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that is very pro-Trump is going to be like, yeah, he's a patriot. He's making it illegal to burn the flag, and it should be. But everyone else, I think, that reads into it is going to be like, he just kind of kept what should be illegal and wrapped it up in this pretty bow of don't burn the flag.
Yeah.
Does that
don't
make
it a center point of political, political rallies, unless you're amongst friends who you will not get. And again, you take that risk when you do it. You know, the rule is if people respond poorly to it and destroy and create more crimes, I'm going to be responsible for it. So maybe you don't do that thing because you're not willing to pay those consequences.
The order should say don't purposely incite violence.
It's what it says. It's really essentially what it says.
People are saying, oh, we made an order. You're not allowed to burn the American flag.
That's not the case.
Different.
Yeah. The second part of it is if you are a immigrant or on a visa, and you burn the flag, your visa could be terminated and sent back if you burn the American flag. Because you are here at the pleasure of our immigration system.
Guest.
You need to be on your best behavior. If you don't like the country, but you're here as a guest, right?
Yeah.
You're out of here. So that's the part twos of it. Which one do you think is going to have any teeth? I think the first part, probably pretty unenforceable. The second part is where I think they're really going to utilize it, and paring down the 50 million visa holders that there are by the ones that have true hatred for the country don't need to be here as our guests. So I think it's another, bullet for the, or something in our quiver kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense to me. You're not a citizen. You don't have the same rights. You're not here permanently. You are a guest. Yeah, like don't cause problems while you're here.
Right.
And doing that is causing problems. So
yep,
don't.
Exactly right.
That
was
makes more sense than an American citizen doing it. And I don't know.
So and back to this, the hate speech side of things. Do you think there should be any speech that is disallowed that doesn't break the crowded theater rule? Okay, are you allowed to hate? Is it up to like? We want everybody to be nice.
Yeah,
and that's a negotiation.
I don't like hate speech.
Right?
I don't
but do you think everybody should be able to say whatever as long as it doesn't incite violence?
Yes.
Anything. Think of the most reprehensible idea or thought or opinion, most reprehensible, and a person saying it, they're allowed to hold those beliefs.
Yes. I don't like it. Especially, I'm somebody who dabbles sometimes in dark humor, where you will say something so horrific and you don't have evil intent behind it, but you got to admit it's kind of funny because it's so dark.
Okay, so do you think if I walked down the road right now and went up to a black person and I called them the N-word, and they punched me, would it be a justified punch? Because I have the freedom of speech to say the thing.
I wouldn't blame them. I'd say that was dumb on your part.
It was dumb on my part.
But
I said something.
What you did was not illegal.
All right. It wasn't illegal. I didn't hit anybody, but they punched me. Should they go to jail for assaulting another human being when all I said was a word?
Yes.
That's the way it should be. Do you think that's how it really goes down? Or do you think there are certain words, certain ideas, certain groups that have a special clause in free speech?
Oh, I'm sure there would be a defense attorney somewhere that says because of what you said, they felt threatened. They felt in danger.
Well, that's what hate speech
made them
is. So long that I can take, I can sort of take exception to something someone say. Can't I claim that you said something that hurt my feelings and I felt threatened?
I mean, yeah, if someone comes up to you and says, I'm going to stab you, you're not going to wait for them to actually do it. You're going to say, well, they said something threatening. I felt like my life was in danger. I'm going to act on that. So does it have to be deemed actually threatening, or is it just something that's a jerk thing to say?
If you look at law, you have to prove that your life, not only you felt you were being threatened, there is a reasonable amount of information that suggests that you were a danger. Yeah. Right. And I don't know. I think it's popular agreement that says that's something you don't want to say because there's zero upside and a lot of downside. You are welcoming in. If you know that if you say this thing, if you walked up, if you knew that I'm an aggressive person who likes to punch people, and you come up to me and say, hey, shorty, right? You have the ability to have an opinion on my stature. And I have the ability to punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. Now, my attorney is going to say, did you not know that Joe was an aggressive person that liked to punch people? And you're going to say, yeah, I kind of knew that, and I didn't care. And then you said the thing, and I punched you. Is it my fault for punching you and assaulting you? Or is it your fault that you didn't know better when you just welcomed the word or the punch?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially if there was a crowd down the street protesting short people we hate short people. They're evil. They're bad. And they're setting cars on fire and they're throwing bricks through businesses' windows and they're causing mayhem and people are getting trampled. And then one of them comes up to you and says, hey, shorty. You're going to be like, oh my God, this is about to go down. This person's going to hurt me.
Crowded
Would be
theater
a totally different situation than just out of nowhere you walk over and say it.
All of the definition is already in this. And the best thing they could probably do is mark it and say what you can do, what you're going to go to prison for, and what you can't do. And really that is it.
But I mean, that's why we have things like attorneys and trial. And it's like something can sound black and white all day long. Don't do this. But then someone's like, but
that's where
what about this? What
and
about
that's
this?
why I think I've lost a lot of faith in the legal system because of that. I used to also believe that, everybody could say their thing and justice would always be followed. But we've done a lot of unjust things in the name of law, right? To get away with it, to manipulate it and corrupt it, rather than everybody has this interest, a moral interest in finding out what is true and what is just. And I think we went so far off the reservation. We want the prosecution. We want the social activism, and courts are just a weapon of that thing.
Yeah. How about, do you see the real famous judge that just passed away?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
He was known as being a very nice guy
Mhm.
and a fair judge. And when he passed away, people kept circulating all these different clips of his show online. And one of them was this old man came in, like, I don't even know, at least late 70s, I think, veteran's hat on, came in for I think it was like a speeding violation or something. And the guy looked at his record. He's like, you've never had a ticket before. He's like, nope, sir, my first one. And he's like, oh, you served in the military? Yeah. And they start talking about that. He's a so many year veteran. He fought for his country. He's not someone who's out here breaking the law every day. It's his first offense. And the guy's like, the judge said, before you even opened your mouth, I already knew I'm throwing this ticket out. You didn't have to come in here and say a thing. I'm not giving you this ticket. I'm throwing it out. But I do appreciate this and that, blah, blah, blah. To you, should that have happened? Or should you have said, I don't care if you're a veteran. I don't care if it's your first offense. I don't care that you're so old. Pay your ticket. You were speeding. Or do you think it should have gone down the way it did, that he considered so many other outside factors and cut this guy a break?
No, I think when you write a law, there is a spirit to that law, a reason why the law was implemented. So the mechanics of accomplishing that spirit is really what it's about. And you have to almost go back and read the mission statement. So if we're like, we'll use speeding tickets. So why is there a posted speed limit? What is the purpose of a speed limit, right?
Very safe.
So safety would be it. So if we had safety, the line of sight is only a certain amount. So the safe speed that 20 people can reasonably say, this is what people should go. When people exceed that, they increase the danger of other people being hurt. Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So if a police in a court, if the police in a court were pursuing enforcement of that, right. So for instance, you're going down the street and your throttle gets stuck and you went 7 miles over the speed limit, or your speedometer was off. Right. The court would have to say, well, why do we have these speed limits? And what's reasonable? To slow people down and put a limit on what they're making a conscious decision to go, right? Well, you didn't know that you weren't going it. So I'm going to cut you a break because you didn't say, I know it's 35 and I'm going to go 45. Ha ha ha. Right. Or throttle brakes and you go over, and technically they can get you because you were going over the speed limit. But when they talk to you, say, I had a malfunction and you didn't break the spirit of the law. You didn't try to create some kind of safety. So I'm going to give you a pass if you go fix your car. Right. And, but people who should have the letter of the law, the mechanism thrown, or the other side of that. Now, let's just say the police are having funding issues. So they take all 8 service people and they go out and get people for speeding, right? The spirit is safety and the implementation is money, right? So they could be equally as defying the spirit of the rule and the law if they're not interested in the safety, and all of a sudden they change it so that it's a spirit of money.
Yeah, you're only enforcing it to get something, not to actually enforce it for the reason it's in place.
Yeah,
in the
so if you
first
caught
place.
somebody technically speeding where there wasn't a safety, there was nobody in the roads, it was just you, and somebody sped, put nobody else in danger, that person should be cut a break, but because the police then need more money, they're willing to write the ticket there. So it's on both sides.
Kind of like you see a cop, like I've been pulled over before too, where they let me go, no ticket, no infraction. They tell me why, like I told a story one time. I had dropped a friend off at their car. The car was parked in a bar, and I was leaving the bar, missed my turn. So I did one of these, oh crap, kind of swerving things to get in another lane. Here come the lights. And I went, I get it. You just saw me leave a bar and then swerve. Like, this looks real bad right now. But what did he do? He talked to me. He asked me questions. He looked at me. He's like, you don't seem impaired. I'm not. Just an idiot. Missed my turn. Swerved. You didn't hurt anyone. There's no one around. You're good to go. Be careful next time. Not like, well, but you did this. Letter of the law. Taking you with me. It's almost like they have that room for interpretation. If, like you said, what is your intention? Your intention is to make sure I am not a danger to anyone. You have found I am not a danger to anyone. So you've done your part.
Because remember what a cop has to do, right? They have a job to do. And do you think cops ever get lied to?
Yes.
On a regular basis. So I got to establish whether or not I can visually see if this person, if I let them go, if they're going to go kill somebody because they're drunk. Right? I'm going to ask you if you're drunk, and you're going to say, no, I'm not drunk. I was just they come up with a story about how I just missed my turn, and it's going to be totally believable. And the cop's going to say,
story?
But they got to establish that through communications. Now, what happens if two things happen? What if you've been pulled over so many times that you're just like pissed off that they're even inconveniencing you? And so you don't say the things that you said to that cop. And you're like, dude, why you pulling me out? Don't you have freaking better things to do? And the cop's like, yep, this person is a freaking danger, and she needs to get the ticket and get off the road because she's such a jerk. And then on the other side, everybody lies to the cop, and they've heard the stories 1,000 times. So when you say it, it's no different than them. So they don't even bother trying to dig into the story because it's a freaking waste of time. So if you deliver cops a lot of terrible people, then they stop listening and trying to get an understanding because everybody's freaking lying to them. And if you get pulled over so often that you don't have any respect for the person that's at your window, you don't bother talking because you're just going to be a ticket anyway. F you kind of thing. That's where we're at with policing. Is that there's some nice ones out there, but there's some hardened hearts out there because they're every day they got to get in front of people that just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, like ideally I could have been talking till I was blue in the face about why I swerved and what I was doing and this and that. He could be like, don't care. I'm trying to see if I smell alcohol. And that's what I'm going off.
Okay. Do you think, black drivers, number one, get pulled up over more often, get tickets more often, and get harsher punishments?
I honestly don't know. I've heard some people say yes. I don't know.
It would be.
They?
Okay, so my first question would be, in order to have an experiment between a white driver and a black driver, you would have to have a standard. Did they both say the same thing? Did they both behave the same way? Were their reactions the same? And we're not going to turn this into like a rabbit hole of what led them. You just got to take on its face, somebody gets pulled over, camera side-by-side view of how they interact with the police, and did they say and do the same things? Now, if on those two examples, they did and said the exact same things, now we can start measuring why one person got a different experience than the other person got. Mm-hmm. And so if you have police that, deal with a lot of black drivers and they're very inconsiderate and they don't follow directions and whatever, and they're going to have biases that they bring to every black driver, because that's what we do. We compartmentalize. We create stereotypes to be able to make decisions without complete information, right?
Yeah.
And so you'd almost have to hit the reset button, give everybody a zero history beginning, and then teach everybody. The cops would have to say, hey, if you want to get by on this is all you got to do for me. I got to establish whether or not you're a danger, you pose a danger to me, you have pose a danger to other people, or whether or not you are completely void of wanting to follow any rules that govern to keep other people safe. If I can get and establish that with you, the things that come out of your mouth need to satisfy my curiosity, whether you're any of those things. Once it's beyond those things, now I can take the human aspect into it. You're not a danger. You know, you got regret. You got a good story that makes sense. Is this worthwhile in putting it before a court? And if in utopia, that's how things would work. But you got all of these histories that come into it. You got the cops bias. You got the bias of the drivers. You got all of this victimization of every group. Now you've got it concocted that everybody feels like they are at a disadvantage. The cops at a disadvantage are like, I got to go up to the window of a black guy, and we've got all of this history that's coming with me. I got to take a defensive posture. Now you got the black driver says, I got all this history I got to take a defensive posture. Now we can't even get to the crux of why they're doing this in the first place. Everybody's just playing this different role depending on who they're in front of.
Yeah, because I mean, if I were in the cop's shoes, it may not even be so much the skin color, but like you said, all the variables leading up to it. If I'm walking up to a vehicle in Poland versus I'm walking up to a vehicle south side of Youngstown, I'm going to feel differently about it.
Right.
Regardless of their skin color. And I'm going to be like real on edge with this car I pulled over in the ghetto versus car I pulled over in some nice suburban neighborhood. They're going to feel totally different to me. I'm going to have a bias immediately.
Yep.
Because it's fact, one of them has a higher probability of danger than the other.
Yes. And you have to treat it as such. And that's those two experiences. So what if you have like a Poland who's primarily white, low population percentage of black drivers, and a black driver is going through Poland, which means that they don't live there. And then the cops like a person who is outside of the demographic of the normal, this person shouldn't be here. Should I pull them over? Do they just increase their chances by driving through a white neighborhood? And should the cop even be curious as to why this black driver is in a white neighborhood to begin with? What are the possibilities? Visiting a friend, dealing drugs, casing out a robbery, got lost, right? And then it's up to the cop that has to make the decision whether or not, because the added potential gain, if cops are taught to look for things that are out of place, right? And that is the first level of suspicion. And I'm in place and I drive by and I'm not at a level of suspicion anymore. How do you then unbias that when we say, hey, I want you to be suspicious, but not suspicious. I want you to pay attention to details, but don't pay attention to details. How do you do that, right? And they can and still have them be able to do their job.
Keep your head on a swivel, be on high alert, but don't offend anyone.
Yes. We're asking a lot of law enforcement when we give them contradictory, tasks.
I remember I was sitting in the parking lot. This is maybe just a couple months ago, of a doctor's office, getting ready to go in for an appointment. And I happened to notice someone walking along behind the buildings. It was 90 degrees outside, and this person had a winter coat on with their hood up. I don't even know what color skin they had. I don't know. My immediately thought was, red flag. Why are you walking behind a building in a winter coat with your hood up? It's 90 degrees outside. So had I
be
said,
suspicious of absolutely.
If I were a police officer and I went up to this person and was like, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? And they happen to be a certain skin color, what are the odds I would get accused of being racist versus I want to know why you are dressed this way when it's 90 degrees out? Maybe you're exercising. Maybe you're trying to get a sweat. Maybe, I don't know. But you've got to admit that looks off.
All right. So here's my victim story. Okay. So there was a skating rink in Boardman, and my family wanted to go roller skating, and it was R&B soul night. And I was like, I like R&B and soul. And so I walked into the skating rink and got our skates. And we were only white people that were in there. Everyone else, 100% black. And we're walking in and, we're getting ready to do our thing. One person walked up to us and say, hey, you know what night it is tonight, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's R&B soul night. We're going roller skating. Okay. And then another person, I think they were a security person, they had a black thing on, and said, you probably shouldn't be here tonight. And I said, why? I'm going roller skating with a bunch of people listening to R&B and soul. What's wrong with that? They made me feel so uncomfortable for being there and being different than everybody was there. We did end up leaving because the pressures, the eyeballs, the judgment that was happening was like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy myself because everybody is noticing that I'm not similar. And I was being excused very kindly. They were being kind about it, but I got excused from that for being different.
I was in a bar in Georgia many, many years ago. There's a local singer who's amazing. Big, heavyset black woman, soul singer, draws a crowd every time she plays. She's just really good. The music is really good. We go to this bar to see her, and very similar, much similar demographic in the room. A lot of African Americans because of who she is and what she sings and everything. And I wasn't the only white person there, but I would say anybody who was not African American was probably the minority in that room that night. Mm-hmm. And I remember interacting with her. I can't remember what I did or what I said, or maybe I requested a song or something. And she was like, oh, Cream. She's like, Cream here is wanting blah, blah, blah. And she was calling me Cream, the cream in the room. Mm-hmm. And I didn't take offense to it. It was kind of funny. Everybody chuckled. It was a friendly environment, but I was being treated differently because of the way I looked.
Because human nature, again, we put things in boxes. We really do. Yeah. And if we pretend like there's this unity that doesn't exist, we can't get along and form unity when all we want to do is pretend that all things are equal, because they're really not. You bring are black people and white people different?
Yes.
Are there differences? Okay.
Yes.
And when we make compromises about those differences, you have to take into account for the ways that we're different. We process information different. We behave different. We have tendencies that are different. And so if I wanted to get along with someone who was completely different than me, then I'd have a conversation and say, hey, this is how I behave, and it's going to be different than yours. And how do you behave? And I'll have an understanding for how they behave. I'm not going to try to change them and make them into me. And I don't want me to change and make them into you, right? Mm-hmm. We have to agree that we're going to be different in different ways, and then we learn from it. So let's just say black youth that are driving through a white neighborhood, when the cop pulls up, we're going to profile what they say and do and how they act. And we get an understanding of what we got to almost translate it into they're going to behave this certain way. And it's going to be different than this white guy who drives through a black neighborhood and behaves and does a certain way. Dealing with the metrics of how human behavior works, we can get an understanding of why that behavior is different instead of saying and end up hating each other of those differences. We figure out a way to translate those differences.
Here's another situation I was in recently. And when I thought about it afterwards, I was like, oh my God, why did I feel that way? My husband and I were sitting on our front porch one evening, just hanging out, enjoying the weather on the porch. And a car pulled into our driveway because they were turning around. They missed a street, missed a road, missed a whatever. They were confused. They pull in our driveway and we look, and it's a young black male. And in the first second, I was like, on guard. Why are you here? What are you doing? What is this? Mm-hmm. And that feeling must have lasted a second or so. He kind of reached out the window and went, so sorry, I'm sorry. And started to turn around, and we went, no, you're good. You're fine. Then he turned around and he went on his way. And that was the whole interaction.
Perfect transaction.
That was it. But part of me was like, I felt some kind of way immediately.
Mm-hmm. As you were supposed to.
And he, I think, understood that.
Absolutely.
He very, very clearly
Perfect
said, I am so sorry. I'm just turning around. And we said, you're good. You're fine. No harm.
Yeah.
And he left. And I was just like, kind of like, I was like, oh, that was very nice. He seemed like a nice person. He was being very respectful. We said, by all means, no harm done. And at the same time went, oh God, is that a sad or bad thing that we both
No. What would have been sad is if you would have had guilt and shame about keeping your family and your home protected against somebody who's in a place that's
it was out of place.
Ordinary.
Yeah.
And then if he would have been like, how dare I have to announce myself? What do you think? I'm a killer? Both would have been sadder than what actually happened, where you had a communication between a thing that wasn't similar or familiar to you, and you ended it by just being honest about it. You questioned it, they responded, both of you felt good on the other side of it, and you moved on. Now, it could have gone the other way. What if that person was like, you judged me, right? You judged me? Why? Is it because I'm black, right? Then it would have gone south because they pulled a card on you, right? That accused you of something. So, okay, have the rest of that conversation. Are we not supposed to have judgments? Are we not supposed to come to conclusions to keep ourselves safe and look out for number one?
I think it's human instinct.
It is human nature is what we're talking about
Yeah.
today. Knowing what the human nature is, why do you do those things? Oh, to protect yourself. So if you were in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And there was a shark,
Ugh.
right?
Yeah.
Do sharks, and we're using sweeping generalities here. Not all sharks want to bite you. They really don't. Not all sharks are even interested in biting you.
Yeah.
But if you're in the ocean and you look at that shark, that fin that's near you, what if you make a judgment that says, I'm going to get out of the water. I'm going to protect myself from, I don't know if that shark's hungry or going to bite me.
Yep.
But I'm going to say, I'm going to remove myself. I'm not looking to kill the shark. I'm not going in with a spear, killing the shark, because I might be wrong. He might not be trying to be eating anybody. He's just having a good day, just swimming in the water, enjoying the sun like I am. But I'm going to remove myself from the danger, right?
Yeah. But then, oh my God, you're such a sharkist.
Exactly.
Why would you even think that way?
But there's big business in that victim. It's been successful where all you have to do is pull that victim card, and it buys you power.
Well, there's business in being the victim and business in accusing you of being the bad guy.
And then reasonable people, we can't traverse this at all. We got to stay 10 feet away from it, because while those two groups are fighting about who's right and who's wrong, you're both right and you're both wrong. And you're not going to win that. It's going to be an impasse.
I mean, I feel like if I pull into someone's home, I very much change the way I look. I will smile, I will wave, I will feel unthreatened, even though it's like, because I feel like anybody would think, who's a stranger pulling up in here? Now, do I believe that being a white woman makes me a little less scary? Yes.
All right,
I think so.
Okay, make your same reference here. So you're in a neighborhood, you pull over to the side of the road because you're a little bit lost, and everybody in that neighborhood says, "Oh, this is not ordinary. A car that I don't recognize." Right. So the suspicion is there. It doesn't have warrant to be suspicion, but it has my gaze now. You reach out your window and say, "Hey, everything's okay." Now, both of you did what you were supposed to do. So let's move the example to a black kid is driving through a white neighborhood. The white neighborhood is looking, saying, this is not ordinary. My suspicion, my gaze is out there. This might be a lost person, or this might be someone casing a house for a robbery or selling drugs, right? Both are potentials. Now, what is incumbent on the black dude that's going through the neighborhood to then diffuse the unordinary situation? What could that person do? Could that person be mad for being judged? Yeah, I'm just lost. I'm just sitting in front of your house. How dare you accuse me of being someone who's going to do something bad? Yeah. Or you could wave your hand out and say, everything's okay. I'm just lost. I had to justify this because I know I'm in a bad situation.
Yeah, if they're like, I have my hazards on, I'm not blasting music.
What advice would you give to the black dude who drives through a white neighborhood and is now not ordinary in the gaze of the people who are in the white neighborhood? Give the advice. Or should the advice be given to the white neighborhood?
I would say, just anything you could do to be non-threatening. Have your hazards on. Show that you are pulled over for a reason.
This guy's just driving through.
Oh, just driving
through a neighborhood, slow down the road, don't know what he's up to.
I mean, I guess, follow the speed limits. Don't have loud music. Don't draw, anything that looks off-putting, like when people have loud music or something going, and that's any skin color, but obey all the laws. Don't be disrespectful. get through there as fast as you can. That's really all you can do.
Okay, that would be your advice is
Yeah.
don't put up any more red flags, because you know just by driving in a neighborhood that's not yours, you're going to be have suspicions, and don't play into that and get bold that now you're going to poke your finger in the eye by doing a bunch of other stuff that's going to even bring more criticism.
Like I've driven through neighborhoods before where it probably didn't matter so much our skin color, although it may have, but we got stares because it was a small, maybe enclosed community, and everybody knew everybody, and they immediately knew
100%.
You don't live here. And so we were driving around. It might have been to like look at a house for sale or something, but you could tell everybody outside in their yard, everybody walking, everybody was eyes on us. You don't live here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we gave a little smile, gave a little wave, whatever, made sure we were driving very safely until we had to turn around and leave. And they seemed cool with that. And like, you just make sure you're like, hey, I see you. You see me. I'm non-threatening.
That's exactly
I'm not
right.
ignoring you. I am acknowledging. I think the wave acknowledges, I get how this looks. I am not a threat.
Yeah. In The Walking Dead, like when anyone new came into a town and everybody, like, they didn't really want you in their walls. So, like, you're a stranger. We don't know what dangers you possess. We don't know what your motivations are.
Yeah.
And so if you walked into that center of town, they opened their doors. Now you got all the defenders kind of eyeballing you, trying to figure out if you're a threat or not, right? There are good things you can do, and there are bad things you could do. If you like go for your gun, you're dead meat, right?
Yeah.
If you say, if you declare why you are in their presence to begin, why you are here, then they're going to relax a little bit off of their suspicion that you pose a threat to their community. So you can learn a lot about human nature based on examples that don't have a racial component to it. Because once you emotionalize it with the victim industry and the racial side, people lose their minds.
And can we talk for a minute about how idiotic it is when people don't understand these social cues? Like, I was going to say, I get nervous when sometimes I'm working alone. If anybody walks in off the street and has a hand in their pocket, I get real nervous. I don't like that. Like, let me see your hands. What are you doing here? Especially if it's a hand in a hoodie and it's summertime. Like, everything about that makes me nervous. But I have found that what I thought was almost like an innate adult way to conduct yourself is not. I.e., when you first call or enter a place, you say what you're doing, who you are, what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. I once had a delivery person. I didn't even know they were. No markings on them. Walked right in and went, "What's your name?" And I went, "What? Name?" I was like, "What's your freaking name? Who the hell are you?" And it wasn't until I see that it was like a little something, a badge or a little something had like a company on it. And I realized they had like an envelope they were delivering. And I'm like, who the hell doesn't come in and go, "I got a delivery, so-and-so, can I have your name, blah, blah, blah." Like UPS, Amazon, FedEx, all these people come in, they announce themselves, they have a clearly marked uniform, they have a package, they say what they're doing. You would think a grown adult would know to do that, and they don't. I had a phone call the other day, and someone's like, "Hi, yeah, you never call me back." Who are you? I was waiting for a call back from, do you have a name? Well, I mean, it was 20 questions to get to what the hell this person was talking about. And I remember being so annoyed, like, how do you become a grown-up and you don't understand basic social cues, information, things that need to come out of your mouth when you start an interaction with someone?
People are not smart, and you have to work and live with all kinds of people who don't understand.
Oh, yeah. I've even so far said, "I don't think it was me you talked to. It was somebody else here. I don't know what you're talking about." And I still get a vague thing. I was like, this is over. If you can't be a grown-up and explain to me what the heck you're talking about, we're just going to have to end this. I'm not playing 20 questions with an adult.
All right, so Campville Fair is going to have concealed carry and open carry people allowed into the fair, right? And talk about this a little bit because it goes right along with it. So if you're walking
Yeah.
around and you see, his name's Bubba, right?
Bubba.
Bubba's got a cowboy hat. He's an adult. He's got a gun slapped on it. On a scale of 0 to 10, if you're doing a threat assessment, how much of a threat is Bubba?
0, not at all. 10 being extreme threat.
Yeah.
He's like what? Cowboy hat wearing.
Cowboy, big belt buckle in the front, cowboy boots on. He's got the gun on the side. What's his threat?
I feel like he's a 2 or 3.
Okay. Now you have a 18-year-old kid, and they have the same gun. They don't have the cowboy hat or the cowboy boots or the belt buckle. Just wearing regular street clothes, have a gun on the side. What's their threat?
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Now you have a woman, all right,
Uh-huh.
gun on the hip, walking around a Canfield Fair. What's her threat?
How does she look? Is she dressed?
She's an older lady.
Not a young person.
Older lady.
Older lady gun. 4, 5.
4. Okay, now you have a young girl with a gun. What's her threat?
9.
She's a 9.
Some of these people I don't trust their ability. Like,
Okay.
I don't think they're going there to hurt someone, but I think their lack of experience and ignorance might accidentally hurt someone.
Okay, so we did age, we did some gender. What about race? If you see a white adult with a gun strapped, give me their threat. Picture the white dude with the gun.
It's still kind of how they're dressed and what they're like. White, I mean,
Just think typical. So white dude, jeans, polo. Oh, me.
you with a gun.
Yeah, me and a gun.
You're probably like a 4. Well, I just thought, I don't know, dark beard, kind of freaky.
Bald
Just
head.
being honest, little.
Bald head.
What's your descent, kind of?
Mhm.
But probably 4 or 5.
Okay. A black guy, same age, wearing the same clothes, gun strapped on him.
Same clothes, same age,
Mhm.
same look to them.
Mhm.
Probably then say 4 or 5.
Okay. Young white. Well, we already did kind of the young
Yeah.
white dude thing, so about the same. All right.
But here's the thing: like, if I saw middle-aged black man, maybe dressed slacks, polo, something that maybe doesn't say security but looks uniform business like, I will see him as a much lower threat than black man.
So it's
pants
more how they
sagging.
present themselves, where we
Yes.
categorize that what they do and why they have the gun versus
Yes.
what just their skin color is.
Yes. If I look at someone and I go, they almost look like they could be security. They almost look like they could be law enforcement, something there. I'm going to feel differently than, oh, they just look like a gangbanger.
All right, so,
They
so
just look
I
like-
have a like a 80s rock band t-shirt on, baggy pants. I look unkempt, and I have the gun on. Do I go from a 4 to 5 upwards?
Yes.
How much?
I would think you're a higher threat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it
I
is a lot
would.
about presentation.
Absolutely. To me, and like, if somebody looks like they are sort of a stereotypical, respectable, educated on firearms person, like, things about your presentation can feel that way, other than someone who's like unkept, maybe just threw it in on their head. I don't
Because that's
trust
really
someone.
what human beings do is we make a threat assessment based on what the high probabilities of why they have it there, for the protection or causing trouble, or are you in danger? And
Yeah.
everything comes into it. It does come down to gender. You give a pass to women because they aren't as aggressive as men are. So men have probably a higher chance to have used that weapon within the last year, where a woman, when she's got it strapped on her, she will not use it unless she's absolutely backed into a freaking corner. She doesn't want to use it. She has it in case she has to use it. Where a guy, it might even be a little more trigger finger happy, right? I got this thing
Yeah.
on me. I'm just waiting for a moment to be able to use this big guy with justification.
I'm surprised they're doing this, even though just a few years ago.
It's Ohio wide. It's Ohio wide. So
Okay.
it's
It's not just a fair
no,
thing.
no, it's Ohio wide.
Because wasn't Didn't people shoot a gun off in the parking lot?
So yeah, there were
recently?
2 years in a row. There was a robbery of some concession trailers, where it was a very orchestrated robbery where they distracted police over here with a fight, and then over here people were robbing concessions. So that was like and then there was 2 shots in the parking lot, or by the entrance in the parking lot 2 years ago, I think. So they have had trouble with kids, probably the same kids that go to Target and cause all kind of disruption.
Yeah.
Kids are bored. They get amongst themselves. Fights happen. Somebody brings a weapon, and all of a sudden you get a shootout that's happening in the parking lot.
This is so dumb. Chalk this under. I shouldn't say everything that comes to mind, but I'm gonna. I have even found that there's a difference in how you look. I know of an example that I saw a man carrying a gun and I thought it looked hot. Like, not only am I not thinking, so this is like years ago.
You had a threat zero.
Threat zero. In fact, hey, it was, and I think it's because I knew the situation. It was a judge, a local judge, many, many years ago. Very, very handsome man. That would be undisputed. Everybody, I would say that's a very kept, polished, handsome, put together man in a suit, tie, slacks, very sharp, and then just happened to do something with his back or whatever, and you see a gun back there, and I was like,
oh my goodness.
That was like, what's the difference between that's hot and I feel a threat and you need to leave? Presentation, background. I knew why he had it. That's a judge. That's protection. He knows how to use it. No threat. I don't know you. You look like you're irresponsible. You're young. I don't think you're going to know how to use that thing or keep it safe. Threat.
All right. So let's talk about things outside the body, like that black dude that's going through Poland. If he's riding in a lowrider car with ornamented everything around the car and tinted windows, is same dude, but in a minivan, will you judge differently?
Probably.
Okay. So the car does matter. So all of presentation matters. If I'm a parent and I have a black son and he starts dressing and talking and behaving like a gangster, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that ups the probability that he's going to be judged on presentation by people who are not him? And is it his obligation to conform to a low probability, or does it need to have a higher acceptance for people who want to pretend to be gangsters but aren't really gangsters? Trust me, I'm not really a gangster.
I'm not really. It's just hip right now. And yeah, I think everyone, regardless of your skin color or gender, everyone needs to take responsibility for how they are presenting themselves.
Responsibility for it.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Again, like if I am entering a place and I know I look at a place, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I'm presenting myself as not a threat. I'm immediately explaining who I am and what I'm doing there, like first words out of my mouth before anything else. And I feel like, again, when I'm at work during the day, there are many times that I am alone and men will come in and they're big and tall and sometimes they have dark skin. And I feel like I'm not going to apologize for being a little on edge. And when they start talking to me and engaging and they clearly are no threat, we're good. We go about our business. I'm happy to help you and I don't feel threatened and everything is fine. And I think it should be their responsibility to say, big, tall, dark man, woman that could easily overpower, alone. Like, whose responsibility? Is it me to just change my mindset, or is it you to be like, oh, I could see how she might find this a little threatening?
Like I said, it's a transaction. It's both of your responsibilities. It's the person that is willing to be suspicious and purchasing you enough information that alleviates that suspicion. It's every interaction throughout all of time.
Yeah.
So it's not up to one part and the other one's left off the hook. You can't misbehave and not think that there's a repercussion for misbehavior. And you can't be suspicious and not be able to come down from that suspicion once you've been informed. It's both sides.
Yeah, and just like in that same interaction, I'm not going to conduct myself with them as though I don't trust them. I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to act and say the same things I would say to absolutely anyone else, or if I wasn't alone in here, or if it was anything. I'm going to treat you just like I would treat anyone else. Show me the same courtesy by understanding what this looks like, and you're going to lead with, hey, I am also going to be cordial and non-threatening. And
yeah, and completing that circuit, just like my R&B Soul Night deal.
Yeah.
So I came in, why is this white dude coming in here? And I say, oh, I'm just going roller skating with my family. That would have been the end of it. Suspicion up because I was different than everybody that was be there. Oh, but he's just a guy that likes this kind of music and wants to go roller skating. End of story. But and I'm super interested to see if in those circumstances, a different looking person comes into a neighborhood and gets treated different than the people who do look like that. If you're convinced that you're going to be judged for reasons different, like it's a racist cop and you were treated because you're black, versus you were different in all of the ways that we categorize and mitigate safety concerns. And if you were just extend yourself into removing those suspicions, I would be super interested to find out if it works off in your behalf.
Yeah. We were at the Skate Connection about a month ago, and this little boy, it was like during the day, and this little boy keeps coming up to us and talking to my son and talking to us, and we're like, hey there. And his dad came over, just kind of be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is my son. He told me he met some little friends or whatever. He was wearing very large sunglasses indoors in a place with not a lot of windows. And after first introducing himself and saying who he was, and oh yeah, we're visiting, we're from out of town, blah, blah, blah. He also threw in there, I have a light sensitivity problem, hence why I have to wear the sunglasses. And I said, oh, okay. In my brain, I'm like, thank you.
That was easier, wasn't it?
Thank you for saying that. Because we're all sitting here like, what kind of a wackadoodle's wearing ginormous sunglasses in this place? What kind of weirdo are you? Oh, he has an issue with his eyes and light sensitivity.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Communication in that transaction is key. Neither party needs to either you feeling shame for being suspicious and the other person feeling victimized and, pushing back on that. Both of them break that circuit. Just be honest about it. And then we can move on and not have violence as part of this. And, just not liking other races and other genders and anybody who's different than us.
Yeah. Social cues, hunches, impressions are all real things. Acknowledge it and just be cordial about it.
All right. Good way to end.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you next time, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.